Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
I'm Amir.
and welcome to the Mustard Cast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Once again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Um, like always, we're going to start with what media we're consuming. You can go, Amir.
I have been, and this is actually, I probably should have saved this for next episode, but I tend not to look at the notes, and every day is just a new surprise for me. But I have actually been playing Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, which is the Kyle Katarn game in the Jedi Knight series, the old Jedi Knight series from like the late 90s, early 2000s, I think. And then Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy. I've been playing those. I love those games. I'm like addicted to those games. I stayed up until like 5 in the morning when I have class at like 8 a.m. the next day. Playing these games. These are very like really good games. I love them. I could go on for hours about those. I've also been replaying Spider-Man PS4, which I actually have on my PlayStation right over there right now. It's on pause right now. Just waiting for Miles Morales to come out.
Uh,
Uh,
so close. So,
so close. As 3 days from now. I haven't pre-ordered it. I might pre-order it like the night before, just so it like starts downloading the next day.
yeah, I mean, I'm just so excited.
I am too. I'm very excited about that game. Uh, what else have I been consuming? Of course, I'm watching The Mandalorian. I have to keep up with that show. Every single Friday after classes, there's like maybe like a 2 to 3 hour period in between class and work on Fridays. So it's just like I'll go to class at 8 a.m. and I'll just go watch The Mandalorian like as soon as possible, then shower and go to work. But yeah, no, I think that's about it. Oh, and I've been rereading Percy Jackson because best book series in the world, and it's my favorite. And yes, go ahead.
So, I've been watching I rewatched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood recently. I finished rewatching it. It's one of my favorite anime of all time. It's in my top five. It's so good. Um,
That is good.
One of the best parts of that show is that every character, no matter how little, is important.
Hmm.
Like once you get around to the last like 10 episodes of that show, a bunch of characters from earlier in the show start coming back like you wouldn't have expected them to, and they make use of every single character. No character is wasted in that show. Um, I've also been watching Lovecraft Country. I watched the seventh episode last night. My HBO subscription is about to be up on the 19th, so I need to finish the last 4 episodes before that happens. Um, Last episode was wrong. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it was really good. It got more into that. It got more cosmic. It was fun. Um, I've also been watching Star Wars Rebels. I'm on season 2, episode 6 currently. I'm excited to get to the. Let me not say what I'm excited to get to, just in case somebody hasn't watched it. I'll talk about that. Next episode is going to be dedicated to Star Wars, so I'll talk more about that next time. I've also been watching Mandalorian, but like I said, we're going to talk more about that in the Star Wars episode. Um, Current events, what's been going on? Biden and Harris won. Thank,
Democracy is restored.
thank everything holy. They
I
were,
love democracy. That Palpatine meme with the what was it from episode one where he's like, "I love democracy," standing in the Senate chamber.
I love democracy. I love the Republic.
I was about to say, it's still, concerning that not over, but a little under half of our population are racist.
Yeah.
Like,
It's also something concerning that people are like celebrating Biden and Harris specifically when we were this entire election we were settling for Biden and Harris
yeah,
rather than
it's
like you know what I mean?
yeah, it's crazy that Biden even got this far because there were so many better choices
Yeah.
than Joe Biden. Nobody wanted Joe Biden. Well, apparently, people wanted Joe Biden because he made it this far. But why? Of all,
Right.
we really needed Bernie because people kept posting a bunch of clips from Bernie and interviews and stuff like that. And the more I see it, I'm like, we should have gotten Bernie Sanders. We needed Bernie Sanders
Absolutely.
way more than Joe Biden. But we have to settle for what we got, and it's better than Trump. So Yeah. Moving from there, we're going to talk about comics. I'm going to say this right now. I'm probably editing
Comics.
earlier in the podcast that I should have mentioned that this podcast is about it's going to be about the last generation or the current generation that's about to end of video games. We're going to later on the podcast, we're going to focus a lot on pretty much the most popular video games that come out in the past 7 years on PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, and PC, and just talk about how they've affected the way video games have been made. But yeah, moving on, we're going to talk about comics real quick before we get to that. And we're going to specifically talk about DC Future State, what you see Amir smiling about. I'm
Yes,
gonna
very much so.
and talk about what I know about DC's Future State. It's a 2-month event between like January, February. It's being compared to like all new, all different Marvel, where they basically, with Marvel, they threw a bunch of new ideas at the wall, and some of them stick, some of them stuck, some of them didn't. Sorry, and it seems like they're doing something similar. And I'm all about the status quo changing, but without it being permanent. Like this is going to be a separate universe. So we could still have. That's what I love about comics. You could have new stuff without getting rid of the old. You could still have both. And I am in.
This isn't even Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm in dire need of something new because I'm tired of seeing the same stuff over and over again. A bunch of interesting stories have been told, but not all of them good. Like we talked about this before, the Batman, like DC has become its namesake, Detective Comics. It's become the Batman verse. Everything has been centered around Batman. I get it; he's one of the most popular superheroes on the planet, but like there are other characters.
And I love Batman. Honestly, everything can be centered around Batman. I'd be fine with that. But if you're going to center everything around Batman, make it more original. The Batman Who Laughs, I'm sorry, is one of the worst characters to come out of comics in recent years. And I will stand by that. I can already tell I'm going to get a lot of hate because a lot of people love that character. He's unoriginal. He's literally just Joker as Batman. We've seen bits and pieces of Joker as Batman in different media all like forever. I don't want to see it. I don't care. Like, give me something new. Give me something fun.
I don't think he's the worst thing. I just think that he's overused. I think that he was a great character upon like initial conception and like the beginning, like what was it called? Dark Knight's Metal. Like around that when they were introducing all those alternate versions of Batman, it was super cool. But like a lot of
I hated Dark Knight's Metal too.
Like a lot of comic book stories, Dark Knight's Metal just slowly got more and more ridiculous and convoluted and adding in a bunch of stuff that is completely unnecessary. And by the end of it, I didn't like it. And what's currently going on with Death Metal is just I'm not a fan of that too much either.
I actually like speed metal. I enjoy speed metal because I enjoy the Flash.
It's the best
They're
part.
honestly for like the Flash being the type of character that he is. There's not a lot of alternate universe stories with the Flash, but Death Metal is actually like I'm really enjoying what they're doing with Death Metal or what they're doing with speed metal. And what they seem like they're going to be doing with speed metal, I'm actually excited for that. Dark Knight's Metal just felt like a Batman fanboy's wet dream, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I hated it.
That's what DC has been feeling like for the past like 5 years. They're introducing Red X from Teen Titans cartoon into the comic universe, which is cool. I wonder who will be Red X. Because they never revealed who that second Red X was in the cartoon.
They never did.
So I wonder who Red X will be in the comics. Maybe it'll be Damien.
I could see that because Damien's one of the few characters they haven't shown for Future State, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
They showed. Oh god.
And that's not including Bruce.
There's one Batman.
They showed two. They were two completely different.
There's one Batman, two different costumes. It's one Batman, two costumes. But every other character also has a second costume that they've shown. The Wonder Woman has a different costume.
That's weird.
It's
Why?
The reason they're doing that is because the concept for this version of the Justice League, to my knowledge, is that it's a Justice League that's so secret that they keep their secret identities even from each other. Like they keep like everything from each other. They don't know each other's identities. They don't know anything. So for some reason, they all have different suits. But if you look at a lot of different characters, like if you look at the new Flash, who's actually a non-binary character now, which is it's an interesting choice. I'm enjoying it. If you look at Batman, I think Green Lantern, the costumes actually cover up more or change enough that it makes them look more secretive.
I mean,
But
isn't the Green Lantern the what is it called? The Far Sector Green Lantern is the Green Lantern in Future State.
I think so. I'm pretty sure it's the Far Sector one.
Yeah, with the Flash, like I'm kind of upset. I mean, we'll see where it goes, but seemingly they're disrespecting Wally and both Barry. They constantly disrespect Barry. Well, they constantly disrespect both in a lot of ways, but Barry.
They just disrespect the Flash. They don't like the Flash, seemingly.
Like barely. I say barely. Barry is gonna lose his connection to the Speed Force, and Wally is becoming corrupted, which
theoretically the Speed Force should shut down entirely if Barry loses his connection to it because he generates it. So like that.
Oh no, the way like it's convoluted, but the way like time works is like he exists at some point in time, and as long as
he's a universal constant. Yeah,
he exists at some point in time using his powers. The Speed Force exists throughout all of time.
Right. But I mean, it's still like
still exists.
That's like a fairly new addition, though. Like that's.
See how this is getting confusing, just like I was talking about a couple episodes ago. The more you talk about the Speed Force and try to explain it, the weirder it gets. That's all I have on Future State. If you have anything else.
Okay, I don't know like a lot about a lot of the other characters, but again, I'm a very huge Batman fan. I'm a very huge Bat Family fan. So I've been following like everything with the Bat Family in there. Now we don't know specifically who the new Batman is. It's Luke Fox. I'm just saying that now. It's Luke Fox, Lucius Fox's son, currently Batwing in the main comics. If you wanna use some new editing skills, put a picture of him somewhere on screen. Here, maybe. You know.
Check out the last episode?
What'd you say?
Did you check out the last episode on YouTube?
I didn't check out the last episode. Did you? Are you able to do it now?
I did a lot of stuff.
Okay, all right. I'll check that out after this. Yeah. So Luke Fox. It's Luke Fox. I don't care. It's Luke Fox. This Future State is basically turning into what 5G. If you don't know what 5G is, 5G was basically AT&T was about to sell DC Comics or was about to like get rid of DC Comics or something like that because the comics themselves weren't making as much money, and it was like they were basically 5G was supposed to be a last-ditch effort for them to make more money so that they would be able to, and what they wanted to do was change the status quo entirely. And during 5G, Luke Fox is going to be Batman.
Were they just going to sell the comic rights and keep the movie and TV rights? Because
no, I think they were selling everything.
Yeah,
I could be wrong about that because I pretty much buried my head in the sand with that because I didn't want it to happen. So
I don't think that they would have sold like DC.
That was the talk.
I think they might have like stopped comic production, but in terms of movies and TV shows and animated series and movies, DC has a lot of untapped potential, honestly, because with the
they do
the animated like movies, the directed DVD animated movies is like those all like they put like Spider-Verse level budget into an animated movie, they could make a lot of money. And not only could they make
they have the potential.
They could make a lot of
God.
They could make a lot of really good stories if they just put like Spider-Verse levels of like budget into an animated DC movie. Like you said, they have potential. Like
the people in charge don't know how to do with it.
Yeah, when it comes to their animated series, they have some talented writers on those teams because their animated series tend to be pretty good. And even with some of their live action shows like Swamp Thing, they put so much money in it that they stopped making it because it was too expensive, and that show was ridiculously good. And Titans was good for a little bit until it wasn't.
The season. About the season.
Patrol is still good. It got the second season ended prematurely because of COVID, but Doom Patrol is a really good show. Like they have so much potential. I just felt like that.
I
But
hated the second season almost as soon as it started. It was that's a story for another time. That's a story for another time.
yeah, but there's a Brazilian Wonder Woman. I forgot to say that. Like
Yara Flor, yeah.
and there was something else I can't remember now. The Aquaman comic is going to be focused around Calder and Aquaman's son, which is interesting. I don't know much about Aquaman's son, so. But anyway, moving on. We're going to start talking about the best games of the generation. We're excited for the PS5 to come out and for Spider-Man to come out. I'm also excited for Demon Souls. I'm more excited for Demon Souls than I would have expected I would be. If you saw the gameplay, you would understand why I'm so excited. It looks really good. It's probably going to be the first Souls game I ever play. But anyway, getting into it, we're going to start. We're going to go year by year and talk about some of the most popular games that came out that year. Starting 2013, the year the Xbox One and PS4 released. That same year, 2 games came out that changed a lot of things. The Last of Us and GTA 5. The Last of Us released on both PS3 and PS4, and then it got remastered for PS4. And GTA is one of the longest monetized video games ever. They keep finding ways to make money. They managed to stretch this game out 3 generations of consoles. It came out on PS3 and Xbox 360. Then it moved to PS4 and Xbox One. And now it's going to be on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. And it's just like, bro, make another game. Not only make another game, but we're going to talk about this later, but Red Dead Redemption 2 got neglected so hard because they were so focused on GTA 5. And I'm tired of it. Just cut it. Cut the line. Give the X. It's done. It's over.
Yeah, they need to stop making content for that game.
Milked it for all that. You milked it for all that it's got, and even then, they could still keep their servers up because it's still an extremely popular game. They just don't have to keep making new content, and instead, they can start focusing on something else. Like, I'm 100% sure they're working on GTA 6, but they need to start making DLC content for Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, really bad. Because they neglected. My speech isn't working. They neglected it so hard.
I don't even think, and this is a wildly unpopular opinion, I don't find GTA 5 all that entertaining. The story mode was fine. I mean, it's a GTA game. Don't know what you really expect out of that. But like the online multiplayer, I don't find it that fun. I find it's good fun when I'm playing with friends, but they don't even play that much. Like the friends that I play with are not like they're always doing something, and it's rarely ever GTA. So like, what reason do I have to have it on my console anymore? Like,
I never played online. I just played the campaign, and for me, what makes it so fun is the sandbox, and also because cheat codes always make games more fun, and just going around doing whatever you want, and just being as violent as you want to be, and just doing a bunch of ridiculous stuff is what makes it fun. But for me, I think that in a lot of ways, Saints Row 3 does it better because it's more goofy, and GTA tries to be a bit more serious, but fails and still goes on to the goofy side. And I think that where GTA could do better with its sequel is to take the Red Dead Redemption 2 route and make a fantastic story mode, because that's the biggest part of Red Dead Redemption 2. Obviously, it's not the multiplayer because they do nothing about it. Like I just said,
multiplayer for that game one time and never picked it back up.
Never did anything else with it. But it's the story of that game that really makes it, and I think they could do the same thing with the sequel to GTA 6. And if they really want to stick with that more serious tone, but they, obviously it could be a little goofy now and again, but still keep that serious tone and just make a really good story, it would be fantastic. Because I'm not big in multiplayer games. So for me, when it comes to Rockstar games, I'm there for the single player campaign. But
Yeah, agreed.
Last of Us is kind of just, it's not much. There's not much to say other than that. It kind of just, it's one of the greatest narrative driven games. The gameplay, admittedly, honestly, isn't. It's fun and it's good, but especially in comparison to the second game, it's not that good.
Mhm.
It's just enough to help push the story, but not the best. Where The Last of Us, excels is the story. It was the first game to ever make me cry, and the second game was the last game to make me cry. And so far, the Last of Us series is the only video game series to ever make me cry.
Mhm.
It's dark, it's sad, it makes you grow super attached to its main characters, Joel and Ellie, and it's just fantastic. So, 2014. Well, not like I said because we weren't recording when I said it, but um, the next few years they were a bit dry, honestly. Up until 2017, it was a bit dry. Um, 2016 was cool. So I guess it was just 2013, 2014, 2015 were a bit dry in terms of games that I played, honestly, because I don't think I played any of these games, but I watched tons of gameplay of them and I loved them from what I saw. But I never got the chance to play them because I just couldn't get them because I was broke. So for 2014, it's Dark Souls 2 and The Wolf Among Us. Like I said, it was dry. There wasn't any big, like award-winning. Obviously, something won an award because the Game Awards are every year, but there wasn't any super big potentially
Right.
like the greatest game of all time type game that released in 2014. Dark Souls 2 was considered the best Dark Souls from what I researched, but I'm not really the biggest fan of the Dark Souls franchise. I'm more interested in Sekiro, Bloodborne, and
Wait, now I'm looking at these games in 2014, and I gotta disagree with you because there are so many good games that came out in 2014.
I didn't say that no good games came out. I said big, like potentially greatest game of all time games. That's what I said. I didn't say
I'm still looking at multiple of them.
like what.
All right. First of all, we have Destiny.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm not even gonna lie. I forgot all about Destiny because I don't play it and I don't care about it, but I know you do. And
I love this. I'm a huge Destiny fan.
I legit I'm getting my words jumbled. I legit forgot about Destiny. If I saw it, I would have put it there, but I just forgot. You could talk on Destiny if you want.
Okay, yeah, no, Destiny is amazing.
This is not my type of game because I'm not into multiplayer games, and I'm definitely not really that into first-person shooters as much as I used to be when I was younger.
Okay, I love Destiny with a passion. I didn't like the first one, admittedly. I hated the first one. And every time I tell a friend that, because all my friends play Destiny, every time I tell a friend that, they just recoil because they're like, "What? The first Destiny was amazing." I hated the first Destiny. I'm a big story person. You know this. I'm a huge story person. All my games have to have some type of engaging story. Destiny did not have that much of an engaging story, and the little bit of story that it had was very confusing and obtuse in the way that it told stories, very conceptual. You I'm not saying you didn't know what you were doing, but you didn't know why you were doing it a lot of the time. You know what I mean? It was just not. I didn't enjoy the story of the first Destiny. I will admit the first Destiny is not that great, but what it spawned with its expansions like the Taken King, the Rise of Iron, Destiny 2.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That I still disagree with you. It's not like a potentially greatest game of all time game, but it did change the landscape in terms of expansions and DLC. Was
Absolutely
games in the service, games like Fortnite came spawned
don't
from Destiny, where it's a game that continues forever because they keep adding more and more DLC that just adds to the game and makes it more fun. That definitely spawned a lot, and honestly, it just completely went over my head. I should have picked Destiny, but I forgot about it. Honestly,
I think it's one of the greatest games of all time. It has one of the most compelling and overarching narratives of all time. It has one of the best stories of all time. Each and every side story.
How about the second game? Because you literally just say you don't like the first one.
I don't like the first one. I don't like the first one. But the first one and the second one are very, very close in terms of timeline. Like, in universe, they're, like, very close, like, weeks apart. So it's just, like, I might as well talk. I mean, there wasn't really much to talk about in the first game. All right, so the second game basically starts. So the second game, I want to say the second game does something revolutionary, but it's not really revolutionary because I feel like this is like almost every single game where you start off as like a cool badass and then they take away your powers immediately and you have to like go get them back. And then it teaches you how to play along the way. But Destiny 2 opens with the Cabal, which are a race of, they're basically conquerors. They're like a race of conquering aliens. If you've ever seen grunts in Halo, they look like grunts but like supersized. And they come conquering Gaul. Dominus Gaul is their leader of the Red Legion, not of all Cabal, but the Red Legion specifically, which is a sect of the Cabal. And they come to Earth trying to take away the Traveler. The Traveler is this big planet, moon-looking thing that gives stuff that's light, which is basically power. And so they come for the light. They come because they feel the Traveler's forsaken them. And so they basically capture the Traveler, take away your light, kill off a bunch of Guardians, and leave you for dead. And so throughout the story, you have to explore the solar system, getting back your light, regaining allies, and starting a final assault against the Red Legion, which is called the Red War. That's the Red War campaign. After the Red War campaign, I don't remember which expansion came first. I think Warmind came before Trials of Osiris.
Okay, let's not
Warmind. Okay, all right.
Especially the second
I was
one.
going to say, all right.
The second one came out in what, like 2017?
2017, yes.
Yeah, we're not even there yet. We're on 2014.
We're not there yet. No. But that is like a game that did spawn something more. Like, but Destiny spawned so much more.
Next year, two games that we got, which are undeniably fantastic games that people love, are Bloodborne and Undertale. I'm going to talk way more about Undertale than Bloodborne because, like I said, I haven't played Bloodborne, but I'll probably play it after I play Demon Souls because of all of the Souls games, the only three that I care about that look interesting to me are Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Demon Souls. I don't think I'll ever play Sekiro because that one looks like it looks like it's much harder than the rest of it. But yeah. Bloodborne.
I haven't played Sekiro. Wait, I want to interject just a really weird story here real quick. Can I do that real quick?
Okay.
It's about Sekiro, so it's not about like 2014 video games. But like, I saw a whole bunch of like ads for Sekiro like all across my Instagram, and I saw no YouTubers talking about them, no gaming news outlets talking about it, like nothing. And I was like, okay, so this looks like it's just gonna be like a small indie game that's gonna like fly under the radar. Like I didn't do any research. No. I didn't do any research about it. I just saw like random ads on Instagram, and like nobody's talking about this like at all. And then literally the day it came out, I see like all of my favorite YouTubers starts getting like top tier reviews from everyone's like, since when did everybody know that this game existed? Because nobody was talking about this game like 3 months ago. Like it was very confusing. It took me by surprise.
Yeah, it won Game of the Year.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. Like it took me by surprise because I saw nobody talking about it. And I thought I was like the only person that knew it existed.
That was that 2019?
That was 2019. So like go back. But yeah, no, weird story. Go ahead.
But yeah, what was something Bloodborne? Right.
Yes.
I haven't played it yet. I plan on playing it eventually. Definitely when I get a PS5 because it comes with that like PS Plus collection of like 18 games. It's one of the games. So whenever I get a PS5, it's probably when I play Bloodborne. The reason Bloodborne interests me more than the Dark Souls series is because it's a little bit more horror oriented, specifically Lovecraftian horror. It's specifically oriented towards that, and it basically takes that and twists.
I was gonna say if you like Lovecraftian stuff, you'll love.
Yeah, and the monsters look disgusting. They look horrifying, like so much. So they have werewolves. You know I like werewolves.
Yes.
I love werewolves. They have werewolves. I want to fight werewolves in every game ever. Every game needs a werewolf. But Undertale, I have a lot to say about Undertale because another game I haven't played, watched some people play. And the reason I'm going to talk about Undertale so much is because it explores morality in a much more interesting way than most video games do. Like a lot of video games either like give you a karma system where you can either be bad or good, or you just have like random what's the phrase? Like just choices. Like in RPGs when you talk to somebody and a little prompts come up. Those are usually your only choice for morality in like most AAA games. But this was an indie game and probably one of the most popular indie games ever. To this day, people still they literally took a song from another video game, put it in their game, and it got more famous in their game than it was in the original video game. It's from Megalovania from Mother, and they added it to this game Undertale. I don't know why my brain just did that, but I literally spent a long time researching Undertale because I just wanted to really try and get into the idea of the morality and the way it works. And they basically just make it harder for you to be good in the game than it is to be evil. They make it super easy for you to murder every monster you come across. But to figure out how to spare them and keep them alive and get that good morality, you have to actually pretty much figure out a bit of a puzzle just to be able to do it. But once you do, you still have to stay alive. And in doing so, in trying to spare the person, you end up with way less. You don't get XP, basically, when you spare people. You get 0 XP. But if you kill people, you get XP, you increase your health and things like that. And you're able to get different items. But if you don't kill them, you don't get that. So it makes it harder and harder for you to spare people as you go along. And just the idea of that.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big Undertale fan.
Yeah, I've loved Undertale. Undertale's great. I haven't played it. I don't plan on playing it because I watched so many people play it that to me it just felt more of it was just more fun to watch, and I feel like it would be a play for me because it's an RPG. I'm not big in RPGs.
Right.
It also has turn-based combat. I don't like turn-based combat.
You hate turn-based combat.
Yeah, I actively hate it, as I've said before.
Yeah.
But the way they use morality is what interests me the most. Moving on to the next year.
Wait, real quick, I just gotta say, one of these days I'm gonna make a video game that's like at the I'm gonna make like the most compelling story, and at the very end of the game, I'm gonna throw in like 3.5 hours of turn-based combat. I'm gonna make you play it. Like you're gonna play it.
Once we got to that point, I was not playing it.
No, you're playing it.
But in 2016, I feel like is when things really started to pick up. That's when Uncharted 4 and Persona 5 came out in Japan in 2016, but it came out in America in 2017.
My favorite Telltale game came out that year, which is Batman Telltale, The Enemy Within, Season 1.
Yeah, Uncharted 2, my second favorite Uncharted game. Uncharted is probably my favorite video game series of all time. And it was a perfect bookend to Nate's story. I should probably mention, we're going to spoil every single game we talk about.
I still haven't played Uncharted 4 yet, so I'm gonna need you not to spoil that one.
I'm not going to spoil the games you haven't played. But
okay, well, I appreciate that. But the games we've collectively played together, everybody else that hasn't seen, I'm sorry, you guys are out of luck.
Yeah, we're going to spoil those. But Uncharted 4, he still hasn't played it. I'm not going to spoil it. But it was a good bookend.
I appreciate that.
And I've said it before without spoiling it, how I want the series to continue, but with Chloe and Nadine and Sam as the main characters.
Okay.
Because Chloe was in 2-3. And then she had her own game after 4. And Sam was only in Uncharted 4. And so was Nadine. So I feel like they still have plenty of room to grow and become more interesting characters because they're already super interesting. And in Lost Legacy, they really show how great those characters are. Persona 5, again, I don't like RPGs. I don't like turn-based combat. This was the first RPG I really got into. I played this game for 80 plus hours. That's a long time. Granted, it was over several months because I had to force myself to play it. But the characters are great. The story's fantastic. Combat, again, I just couldn't get through it because of the combat. But the soundtrack is my personal favorite video game soundtrack of all time. It just barely beat Metal Gear Rising with Vengeance, which also has an amazing soundtrack and was probably the soundtrack that made me really get into video game music. because I don't think before Metal Gear Rising Revengeance I ever really heard of a soundtrack that I loved as much. I loved the main theme song of Uncharted 2, but I wasn't really in love with the entirety of the soundtrack. Even though it is good, it's just most soundtracks are orchestral. Most video game soundtracks, specifically AAA video game soundtracks, are big and orchestral, and that's what Uncharted was. It was like a movie soundtrack. Whereas Persona 5 introduced me to probably my favorite genre of music, which is acid jazz, which is a combination of funk, soul, disco, and jazz, of course. And it's the reason I love the bass guitar so much, and why I 100% plan on learning to play the bass guitar, because so many of the songs just have so much bass to them. Persona 5 basically defined my music taste. Because, like I said, the story's great. I just couldn't get through it because of the gameplay. But in terms of music, it completely changed the way I think about video game music. And getting into 2017.
Wait, no, you completely missed one of the best games of 2016.
What? What is it, man?
Doom.
Oh,
you missed Doom.
Yeah. Bro, a lot of games have come out. It's been 7 years. You can't blame me for this.
But Doom, you talked about soundtrack, and you talked about...
There's two of us for a reason. I can't get everything. I'm going to miss sometimes. Okay? You're here. You're here to help me out. I can't do it.
I know. I have to.
You're right. I miss Doom. Doom's a fantastic game. That's another game I haven't played that I want to play. I also want to play Doom Eternal. Again,
I want to play Doom Eternal.
Amazing soundtrack. I'm so mad I'm blanking on the name of the song that it was one point, it was weird because my mother, I was listening to it in my headphones while I was cleaning the refrigerator one day, and like my mother could hit my headphones, and she was like, "What are you listening to?" Because you just hear this metal music in my ear while I'm sitting there scrubbing the inside of the refrigerator. It's
Hell's Greatest Monster.
It's probably the most popular song from the soundtrack, and I, for the life of me, can't remember the name of the song.
I think it's the opening one, right? I don't remember what it's called, but like, I'm pretty sure it's the opening one.
Oh, it's in my brain, but I can't remember it. Hold up, I'm about to see if it's in one of my playlists on Spotify, because it probably is. No, I'm just look up the soundtrack and just look through it. Doom.
I feel like I'm also missing another game in 2016 that I'm going to go back and watch this. I'm going to be like, I missed a game.
Super get. All right. This is BFG Division. That's the song. I love BFG Division.
Okay.
It's so good. The BFG is also just a fantastic name for a gun. I'm not going to actually say the F word, but it stands for big freaking gun. But they don't say freaking, and it's a fantastic.
But they don't say freaking.
It's a fantastic weapon. Is my screen dark?
A little, yeah.
The sun is being weird right now. But yeah.
Yeah, now you know how I feel whenever we record later in the day, and then it's just like the entire like half of my face is just in shadow.
Yeah, like you said, Doom. It's weird. Doom is like. It's a really violent first-person shooter where you just rip demons apart. But it also is low-key a rhythm game. Because you're just killing demons in sync to the music. And
yeah,
that's why it interests me so much. And I think that another reason for that is it is a Bethesda game. And I feel like Bethesda has a lot of studios.
Bethesda just knows how to make games.
Yeah, they specifically know how to flip the first-person genre. They know how to take a first-person shooter and make it so much more interesting. Like, even though it's not a first-person shooter, it's still a first-person game, Dishonored. Which,
I mean, you can play it like a first-person shooter. You'll die, but you can play it like a first-person
I think
shooter.
Dishonored 2 came out in 2016, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Did it? Because I remember I got it.
What?
I literally got it on my birthday, but I don't remember if it was 2016 or 2017.
Wait, what was the question?
Dishonored 2, I got it on my birthday, which is this Friday, actually.
Dishonored 2 was 2016.
2016. Right. So this is a great segue into Dishonored 2, because it came out the same year that Doom came out, and Uncharted and Persona 5. And it came out, it didn't come out on my birthday. I think it came out a couple days before my birthday, but I got it on my birthday. It which is going to be the day after I post this episode. And Dishonored, we talked about it before. We literally talked about it in the last episode.
I feel like we talk about it like every other episode. Dishonored is just a great video game, man. It's a great series. If you haven't played it, go play it right now.
One of the greatest stealth games ever. It basically is a first-person stealth game with a bunch of verticality. And like I said, Bethesda knows how to take first person and flip it and make it super interesting. Any other games I missed?
This is the 2016 year, right?
Yeah.
Outlast 2. I know Outlast is a very
I don't think Outlast 2 was as good as the first one.
It wasn't as good as the first one, but I know the series itself is a very divisive series. I like the second one better than the first one. It's not a better game than the first one is, but I like it better just because it's a lot more disturbing. I don't know that I would say it does the horror elements a lot better, but it definitely makes you uncomfortable to play in a lot of areas.
It's not like the thing about Dishonored. I mean, I was about to say Dishonored. Outlast 2 is that it's not like eerie, like scary, like make you. It's not like the moment I talked about before, like the tension in between jump scares type of scary. It's very make you want to like look away from the screen, disgusting scary, and a bunch of
It makes you want to take a shower after.
yeah, a bunch of weird and disgusting things just happen in that game rather than it being outright horrifying. Which that's why I'm not the big fan of
It does still have outright horror though. Like it does still.
Yeah, but I feel
it
like
is still a terrifying game.
I feel like it tries to it puts too much emphasis on the disgusting aspects than the horror. I feel like
Okay.
disgust can still be used to make people scared, but I'm not a fan of that when it comes to horror games.
See, I loved it personally. I mean, like I know a lot of people like much prefer the first one. I know the first one's a better game. I prefer the second one just for what it does. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I enjoy that a lot more.
For next year, 2017, we can't talk about 2017 without talking about Breath of the Wild.
Or Destiny 2. I won't let you go over this section without talking about Destiny 2. We can start with Breath of the Wild.
I'll let you talk about Destiny 2 because you like that game. But
I do.
I think that it's a good game. I just don't think it's enough. It wasn't enough for me to want to put it on my list. But I don't think it's a bad game though. But I'm going to talk about both Destiny 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn. They both came out in 2017. One's I think is vastly better than the other, by a lot. And it honestly it's sad because I feel like Horizon definitely got overlooked by a lot of people because it came out after Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild completely overshadowed it. But at the same time, I don't like Horizon that much. I feel like a lot of people love it, like absolutely love it.
I don't like Horizon. I'm not a big Horizon fan.
A lot of people absolutely love it, but I think that it's just okay. I don't think it's nearly as good as people say it is. It's the same way I feel about Control, which we're going to talk about when we get to 2019, because people, I feel like, overhyped Control so much, and it was so bad. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Horizon, basically, it essentially, in a lot of ways, is Breath of the Wild with less adventure. And that's what really makes Breath of the Wild. It's adventure. And in my opinion, it really redefines what open world games can be, because it takes everything that popular studios that make open world games like Ubisoft have what they've done. Who makes Skyrim? Bethesda, right?
Bethesda.
Yeah, but what studios like Bethesda and Ubisoft has done, but leave it more open-ended and gives you more choice. And essentially in Breath of the Wild, wherever you look, there's going to be something interesting there. And it really, what's the word I'm looking for? Entices you to explore and discover things naturally and organically rather than opening your map and looking at a bunch of icons littered all over your map, and you have to go to the icon and go and complete a side quest. You discover side quests as you go from village to village throughout.
Speaking of Horizon, just because you said that, I just opened Instagram. Horizon Forbidden West release is slated for the latter half of 2021.
Oh, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, they said it was coming out next year. I didn't know when. I just knew what it was.
I just had to let you know.
Yeah, but Breath of the Wild is driven more by curiosity rather than going after a specific objective. The only two things that you 100% have to do in that game is the beginning tutorial and to fight Ganon. That's it. There's nothing else you're required to do. You're not required to go after the beast. You're not required to get the Master Sword. You're not required to get the Hyrulean shield. You're not required to get any of his famous weapons or to go and defeat the big bosses that will give you, power-ups that will help you defeat Ganon. Instead, they leave it open-ended for you to go and figure that out on your own. And they also, something else that they do is that they entice you to get beat up by a bunch of enemies that you run across and then realize that you're not strong enough to fight them yet. Go train, come back, and then defeat them. That's kind of what the whole point of Ganon is. Like, you could go straight to Ganon. You could go straight to Ganon and fight him. But most people wouldn't win. Right. So they entice you to go do a bunch of quests, get better weapons, defeat the Divine Beast, which will then weaken Ganon and give you more abilities, to then go fight Ganon and most likely win. And also the weather, it's weird. Every single thing that happens in Breath of the Wild happens for a reason and is directly tied to the gameplay. When it rains, things become more slippery, so it's harder to climb. And also, if you have a metal weapon and it's a thunderstorm, the lightning, you'll get electrocuted. You'll get struck by lightning.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And when you're
I don't have a Nintendo Switch yet, so I still want to play Breath of the Wild. I haven't had the chance.
Also that. Even after the second game comes out, I'm still going to want to play the first game in its entirety before I even think about playing second. Which supposedly it might be coming out next year, the second game. But they oh yeah, like I was saying about the weather. Like I said, you can get struck by lightning when it's a thunderstorm if you have metal weapons or you're wearing metal armor. And also you're affected by the cold and you have to eat food or sit next to a flame or have a bunch of clothes on or have a torch to warm yourself up. Otherwise, you'll start to lose health. And in the same way, in reverse, when it comes to the desert, you can lose health if you're out there getting high. And you'll have to basically strip down to your underwear to, depending on what type of armor you have to survive in the desert. Everything in Breath of the Wild works towards the gameplay. Nothing is wasted. Everything is used. And it doesn't force you to do things. It leaves it open-ended for you to discover everything. And I love that. And we need more open-world games like Breath of the Wild.
Absolutely.
I feel like, honestly, I can't think of an open-world game better than Breath of the Wild. I legit just can't.
I can only think of Red Dead Redemption 2 because it does a lot of the same. It does a lot of the similar things.
Yeah, but for me,
a lot of what you just described.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 is also a super open-ended game. We're going to talk about that next, actually, because we're going to get to 2018. But just for the type of game Breath of the Wild is, I just think there's no game that can compare to it. Not Horizon, not what is it? As good as it is, not Ghost of Tsushima, not any Assassin's Creed games. I just think it completely changed what an open world game can be, and I feel like the second game is only going to be better because they're going to take everything that was good about the first game and make it even better. Also, speaking of Horizon, I am excited for the second game because I think that the first game, like I said, I think it was okay. I don't think it was that good. I couldn't even finish it because I got bored, honestly. The games got boring for me. But I think I'm always, when it comes to sequels, I'm hoping that they'll fix all the gripes I had with the first game. And that's what I think will happen with Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, Horizon Forbidden West.
You mentioned 2017, and then you mentioned Assassin's Creed. I got to bring up Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up Assassin's Creed Origins because I think both Assassin's Creed Origins and Breath of the Wild introduced another element to open world games. 2017 was a fantastic year for open world games. Like I said, Horizon Zero game is not a bad game by any means. Like I said, it's a good game. I just personally got bored of it and expect the second game to be much better. And Breath of the Wild, best open world game ever. Origins completely redefined Assassin's Creed. And what they added, both Breath of the Wild and Origins, is that you can climb literally everything you see. in both Breath of the Wild and Origins. The difference is in Breath of the Wild, you have a limited amount of stamina, so you could potentially fall. Origins, you don't. You can just climb it. And that makes every single open world game where you can climb stuff low-key suck because you can't climb anything. I love Ghost of Tsushima, but it is trash that I can't climb every single mountain I see. But when the climbing system in Ghost of Tsushima is the worst part of that game.
It took me way too long to figure out the climbing system. I wouldn't say the climbing system is bad. It just took me an exorbitant amount of time because it felt so much like Assassin's Creed that I would try to climb stuff like Assassin's Creed and then get caught because I wasn't doing stealth correctly. It doesn't hold your hand enough. Well, not enough, but like I like how little it holds your hand, but like it makes you figure out stuff on your own, and then if you don't, you will die.
For me, it's not about I think that they do a good job with teaching you how to play in Ghost of Tsushima. I just think that when you're so used to, especially after watching gameplay of Breath of the Wild, playing Horizon Zero Dawn, well, not Horizon Zero Dawn because you can't climb everything in that game either. But after playing Origins, then I played Origins before I played Zero Dawn because I played Zero Dawn. I started playing it last year. I got Origins 2 years before that, I think, and didn't play it till a year later, despite having it the entire time. And after playing Origins, when you go and play an open world game like Horizon and like Ghost of Tsushima, but you can't climb everything you see, it's disappointing. It hurts your spirit, it hurts your soul, and it takes a lot away from the game. And all honesty, much like photo mode and New Game Plus, every game, not every game, but most games should allow you to climb everything. In terms of, I'm talking open world adventure games, obviously, like Assassin's Creed, like Horizon Zero Dawn.
If it makes sense in context.
Yeah.
If it makes sense in context.
If it makes sense in context. I'm not saying you should be able to sheer climb a skyscraper in GTA 6. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But in games,
that's what I was just in case people thought that. Like, no, that's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying at all.
In Spider-Man, it makes sense. You're Spider-Man. You can climb everything.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to be able to climb a building like Spider-Man in GTA. As a cheat code, yes.
As a cheat code, that'd actually be funny to see.
That actually would be fantastic. A Spider-Man cheat code in an open world game like GTA where you could stick to walls and climb anything.
Whatever happened to cheat codes? There need to be cheat codes again. Cheat codes were like the best parts of games.
Cheat codes are fantastic. We talked about that last time, how The Last of Us Part 2 literally has cheat codes. And
Does it really?
Yeah, after I finish the thing is, it's like the Uncharted game. When you go back and play Uncharted 2, you know how they got that system where you could buy weapons and you could a whole bunch of modifiers. You could do that with The Last of Us Part 2, except that they're more like cheat codes. I think they literally might be called cheat codes. And but you have to earn points to unlock them. So after I beat the game the second time, I'm gonna go back, use my points, and unlock a bunch of cheat codes. There's a slow motion cheat code that every time you aim, it goes into slow motion, and I'm gonna love that.
That's cool.
I'm gonna replay it. Plus, in Last of Us Part 2, you can, instead of going through and playing the game from the beginning to experience the combat, you could replay specific encounters. So anytime you had an encounter with an enemy in the game, they're all cut off, so you can go through the menu, select which encounter you want to play, whichever one you found the most fun. You could just replay it, which is really dope. But we're jumping here. Cool. We're jumping here. Us. I was talking about The Last of Us Part 2. That game's fantastic. I'm telling you, you'll love it when you finally get a chance to play.
I'm not going to. I'm not a Last of Us fan, and this didn't.
No, I'm talking about in terms of like, you might not be the biggest fan of the story, but the combat, I guarantee you will enjoy the combat.
I've seen gameplay of the combat. The combat does look fun. I'll admit that. I will wholeheartedly admit that. At
the very least, you enjoy the combat, even if you're not a fan of the story. I think one of these days when it's safer, you're gonna have to just come over here. I'm gonna let you play the combat and just try it out. Because you get just to experience the combat, so you understand why I hold it up to such a high standard. Into the next year, this year, in my opinion, was the very best year for video games. 2018, God of War came out, Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, Spider-Man, and all three of these are in my top 5 games of the last generation, which we'll get into after we go over the next 2 years. Excuse me. God of War. it's another case of a video game redefining itself, much like The Legend of Zelda did. It came back and it became not really open world. It's kind of like, it's weird how to classify God of War's map. It's like semi-open world. It's open enough to where you could go around and explore, but it isn't huge. And I really like it. And I think a lot of games could use it. It definitely stemmed from the biggest inspiration for God of War. You could tell were the Dark Souls games based on the combat and the map, because Dark Souls also has a map similar to the way God of War did it. And as much as I think that people are starting to think that Dark Souls combat is the pinnacle of action combat, it's not. Sorry to tell you guys, it's not. As much as people like it, hack and slash is the superior combat method, and it always will be. But this managed to have a perfect medium between hack and slash and Dark Souls combat that I enjoyed. And it's what slowly easing me into finally playing a Dark Souls game when I play Demon Souls. Because the step after that was Jedi Fallen Order, which was straight up like a Souls-like game. But
which we'll get into after in 2019
with the Star Wars game. But outside of the combat and the map, the story of God of War completely different from the first three games. It was very. I was about to say it's very emotional. The first three games were emotional, but that emotion was anger.
Yeah.
This emotion was more. I don't even know what emotion to even use to describe it. There was
reflective. I feel like I would say reflective.
It was very reflective on everything that Kratos did in the previous games, and how he's trying to change and become a better person for his newly found son. Like I said, we'll spoil things. I'm gonna make sure I put a spoiler at the beginning of the podcast so that people know.
Warning: everything we talk about will be spoiled.
Yeah, this entire podcast is a spoiler podcast, 100%.
Yeah.
Like that Star Wars podcast most likely will 100% be a spoiler podcast.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about any and everything next time, bro. That's not even not even the question. Anyway, go ahead.
But like you said, it was very reflective of everything that happened in the previous games, and showing that he's trying to become a better person. And also, I'm just so excited for the second game because they set up so much cool stuff. They set up so much cool stuff. I'm not going to spoil that because I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. But yeah, fantastic game. I'm going to save Spider-Man for last. We're going to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, we just finished talking about it basically.
It's one of the best open world games ever. There's no way to talk about a video game and not touch on Red Dead 2 at least a little bit.
You know the game's good because we started talking about it back when we were talking about GTA.
Yeah.
In terms of story, fantastic. It really lets you.
Very long, but fantastic.
Yeah, it was long. But
I still haven't beat it. I watched gameplays of it. I like that it's too long for me, but
I beat it and I also want to replay it. But currently, I have it on Xbox, and the Xbox, my little brother has an Xbox because they don't have their PS4 broke, so I let them go Xbox. But I plan on replaying it 100%. Most likely on PS5, where the loading times are much faster because that game takes forever to load.
Yeah, no, you'll be sitting there. I had time to make food, like go into another room and make food while it was loading.
A lot of things while that game's loading up. Same thing with GTA. Honestly, those games are huge. In terms of sheer scale, Rockstar open world games are usually the largest. And Red Dead Redemption 2 was no exception. It was a new map that's bigger than the old map from the first game, plus the entirety of the map from the first game, which was insane. I could not believe it when I didn't discover that until I beat the game. And what happened was, Rockstar Games, in the case of the game, if you have it physically, comes a map. The map has the entire map.
I actually had it on my wall. It's somewhere on one of these shelves, folded up. I used to have it hanging up on my wall.
I actually have the map.
Hold on, give me a second. I kind of want to go find my map too. Like, hold on, I definitely have it somewhere. It's somewhere. It used to be on my wall. Mine's a little torn up though, because
This is the map you explore throughout the main story before you beat the game and go to the epilogue. This is New Hanover. This is the map, which is bigger than the old map by a decent amount.
yeah,
And then
it includes the old map plus more.
yeah, and then I didn't realize they had the old map until I looked at this map, flipped it over, and on the other side is the entirety of the map from the first game, which is called New Austin. Which, if you guys didn't know, this is based in America. It's a bunch of fictional places created within America, but
Yeah.
it's meant to take place in the late 1800s during the end of the Wild West era, and you play as a bunch of cowboys in a time when cowboys are dying out, and basically the government is starting to, start
Hunt down cowboys.
starting to function the way it does today, hunting down criminals, and there no longer can be outlaws because the government is more
I'm
organized.
mad. I can't find that one or my Skyrim map because I also had a Skyrim map that came with the Skyrim game that I got on 360, and I can't find either of them. But when I find them, they're going up on my wall in my new room. So,
But yeah. Also, 2-disc download on Xbox One. That's how you know.
yeah.
That's how you know a game's big, when it takes 2 discs to download it. Well, to install it, I mean. But just to talk on the gameplay real quick before we go to Spider-Man. It's very meticulous, and where it makes you. The idea was that they really wanted you to experience what it was like to live in the Wild West, and they make you there. I was going to say there is no fast travel, but there is fast travel. They just don't.
It just takes forever. You may as well.
Yeah, and they don't.
You may as well just start walking.
They don't tell you that there's fast travel. You have to upgrade your camp to a certain point to unlock fast travel. I don't think I ever unlocked it when I played the first time.
I didn't either. I didn't even know there was fast travel until I was watching the YouTube playthrough.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think anybody knows that there's fast travel until they open YouTube and start watching some gameplay.
Yeah.
And they want you to basically ride everywhere on your horse. That's why there's no fast travel. And you do. And it's very slow. And sometimes it can get annoying. But it's weird because I played this game 2 years ago and it doesn't feel like it. It's been so long. And it feels weird that it's been so long. Same with God of War, honestly.
I think the reason I stopped playing Red Dead 2 was because I got so far into it and then a different game came out. I don't remember what it was, but Red Dead 2 is so huge and I don't have an external hard drive. I'm getting one for the 5, but I don't have an external hard drive for my 4. And so I had to delete the game to play something else. And so I don't remember how long it was until I got 5 back, but I got 5 back and somehow my save data got corrupted and I had to restart from the beginning and I won't pick the game back up.
That was actually the original reason why I got an Xbox, was so that I could play games that weren't PlayStation exclusive on the Xbox. That way I could save space on my PlayStation for other games. That's literally why I got an Xbox.
Just the PlayStation is the special system. You get the special game.
It's the special games. I play all my fighting games and PlayStation exclusives on PlayStation.
I feel like fighting games are better on PlayStation. That's for a different day. Go ahead.
Yeah. We didn't talk about Mortal Kombat X, honestly. We can talk about that a little bit. That came out in 2016.
I forgot that game existed. It's my favorite Mortal Kombat, but I forgot it existed.
It might be my favorite too, honestly. First one I played was Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the Nintendo 64. And I think after that it was Shaolin Monks. Then it was Mortal Kombat 9. And then it was X and 11. Well, 10. I always call it X even if it's 10.
Everybody calls it X. There's no point in calling it anything different.
Calls it X, even though it's technically 10. Mortal Kombat X, fantastic game. I think they had the best DLC out of all of the games. Predator, Leatherface, Xenomorph mixed with a Tarkatan.
I don't know, man. I'm liking Mortal Kombat 11's DLC so far.
I mean, I don't dislike it by any means. I just think that I wanted more horror characters. I don't mind.
Yeah, a lot of people did, but I like it because every DLC or every game seems to have a different theme with their DLC. I like the 80s, 90s action hero.
I think that it's just that for me, it's just that both Spawn and Terminator were underwhelming. They looked cool in their.
I forgot Spawn was in the game.
Yeah, Spawn was a character that people wanted for years, and then they finally added him. And guess what? Everybody forgot he was in the game. Because honestly, he's pretty underwhelming. He's not as cool as you want him to be. Like, I think that when it comes to
I'm fine with him gameplay wise. I just forgot he existed because I don't play 11 enough. So
I only play fighting games with friends, like in person.
Yeah, same.
I don't play fighting games online. I play them when I have like a group of friends over and we sit down and we play Mortal Kombat. The last time I played
Just
Mortal Kombat with friends,
God.
My last year of school, the entire last week of school, I brought my PlayStation every day, and we played Mortal Kombat every day.
I remember that. I remember I sat in one of those classes.
Yeah, we were in the Dara's room just playing Mortal Kombat almost all day. But I don't even know how we got Mortal Kombat. We were supposed to be talking about Spider-Man. But moving on for a different too. Spider-Man, in my opinion, you might disagree. I don't know. But I think it might be the best superhero game ever.
I would actually agree with that, yes.
I think the only competition it has are the Batman games. And even then, I feel like the Batman games still have the potential to be better. While that's funny because the tagline for Spider-Man is "Be Greater." But I think that Spider-Man just this is a meme for anybody who doesn't know the meme from Greg Miller when he was reviewing Batman back when he worked for IGN. But it really makes you feel like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it really makes you feel like Spider-Man. And I was watching a video by a YouTube channel that actually helped me do a lot of research for a lot of these video games, especially ones that I didn't play, called Game Maker's Toolkit, where naturally he talks about game design. And me, an aspiring game designer, I watch almost all his videos. And he talked about the difference between games that make you earn basically feeling like a god and ones that just give it to you. Spider-Man is one that just gives it to you because when you play a superhero game, you don't want it to be like Dark Souls where you have to play it for hours upon hours to get good and then feel like a boss. Like, despite the fact, like, Doom is a game that makes you feel like a boss immediately, but then after that immediate feeling of being like a boss, it gets hard, and you have to get good at the end just to continue to feel like a boss. Spider-Man makes you feel that way immediately because you don't want to have to wait the entire game to finally feel like Spider-Man. From the beginning to the very end, you feel like Spider-Man. Swinging is the funnest thing you can do in that game. I've sat down, listened to a podcast, and just swung around as Spider-Man. I've done that several times. Sometimes I just mute the game and just swing around and listen to stuff like music or a podcast or watch a YouTube video while I'm swinging around. Because swinging around is therapeutic in that game, honestly.
Earlier yesterday morning, I was making a playlist for Miles Morales because I already know Miles Morales is my second favorite Marvel character of all time, and so I'm very excited for that game coming out. And I was like, I have to make a playlist for this game when I'm swinging around. Like, I have to make a music playlist for it, and so that's what I was doing yesterday morning.
Speaking of playlists, that soundtrack is already starting to sound really good.
Oh yeah, no, anything that Jaden Smith is a part of, I'm a really big Jaden Smith fan. Anything he's a part of is automatically like really good.
Anime with Kid Cudi is really good.
I
also just love Kid Cudi. I'm not the biggest Jaden Smith fan, but I like Kid Cudi.
I'm a huge Jaden Smith fan.
I'm a Kid Cudi fan. But lost my train of thought. 2019. So 2019 was a bit slow, honestly. Not to say not good games came out. Like Sekiro came out, Control came out, Resident Evil 2 came out, and Devil May Cry 5 came out. Those are the 4 games off top. You probably have a few more, but for me, Resident Evil 2 is the most important to speak about off top because I feel like it defines what remakes should be from here on out. We might have skipped over. I don't remember when Crash and Spyro came out. They came out the same year. I think it was 2018.
I just gotta say we skipped a game that I know you're gonna disagree on personally, but I think it's one of the best games in history. This is in 2017. It started off rough. It started off very rough, but got way better, like completely redefined, and that was Battlefront 2. And we skipped over that entirely, and it didn't even hit me. No, you can go like that all you want to. It's one of the best Star Wars games, if not. No, it's one of the best Star Wars games because I would put Jedi Fallen Order over it. It's one of the best, and Knights of the Old Republic, but I would put it's one of the top 3 Star Wars games of all time, and one of the best multiplayer games of all time.
You know what? We're gonna save that for the next episode.
All right. Okay. All right. Everything Star Wars. All right.
Because
okay, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that.
I don't think it's a bad game. I just think that it's not that good of a game either. Here's the thing. I will agree with you that it is one of the best Star Wars games, but once you take Star Wars off of that, it's not that good of a game.
No, it's still one of the best multiplayer games, one of the best shooters.
Best Star Wars, it's not the best of anything. But
it's still definitely best multiplayer. Still definitely best shooters. No, bro.
I wouldn't say best anything, but
it's definitely best, bro.
My is so bad. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get like a ring light or something. Like I said,
when we start doing these in person after COVID, we'll have all the good equipment.
Yeah. Resident Evil 2 defined what I think remakes should be from here on out. It took it took everything everybody liked about the game. And the biggest things I think that were a problem were obviously the graphics needed to be upgraded. The controls needed to be changed because they use tank controls, which are basically clunky, slow. You have to literally stand still and aim if you want to, when you aim so you can shoot stuff. Plus it had a fixed camera, which for people who don't know what that means, the camera, you can't control the movement of the camera. The camera is static and it changes every time you go to a different room. I think the only game that had a fixed camera that I think uses it perfectly is God of War. And that's it. The first three games. But another Capcom game. I think this was a good year for Capcom. Devil May Cry 5, which brought back Devil May Cry. It had been over 10 years, I'm pretty sure, since a mainline like numbered Devil May Cry game came out. One came out in like the early 2010s that nobody liked. It sucked. It was trash. By DMC Devil May Cry, which is a ridiculous name. I'm gonna stop trashing.
Okay, the story was bad. Gameplay-wise, it was not that bad of a game, honestly. Gameplay-wise, it was actually pretty good.
A lot of games that are good, it's like Star Wars. It's good once you add the Star Wars part. It's like Battlefront, I mean. It's good once you add best Star Wars next to it. And
even if you took Star Wars away, it would still be the best, bro. Don't it's a Battlefield.
It's good when you compare it to other games, but when you compare it to Devil May Cry games, it sucks. The combat, in comparison to other Devil May Cry games, sucks.
It did not. The combat in that game did not. It was not.
It sucks.
I have every Devil May Cry game except for Devil May Cry 5, including DMC. It was not that bad. It honestly wasn't.
It was, but
the story-wise was terrible, but like it wasn't that bad.
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. I'll take that.
But was it Sekiro also came out that year? I don't have much to say about it.
The game that took me by surprise. I woke up one day and was like, "Why is everybody suddenly talking about it?"
Because when you said that you thought it was some indie game, why was this indie game?
Yeah, because I swear to God, I only saw ads from it on Instagram like 2 or 3 times like a week for like a year and a half, and then all of a sudden I wake up and everybody and their grandmother's talking about this game, and I'm like, when did everybody else find out about this game? Like,
don't disrespect the indie games. Indie games can be fantastic.
Yeah, no disrespect to indie games. Indie games are amazing, but it just took me by surprise. I was like, what? Like, when did everybody start talking about this?
Control. So I'm a trash on Control. I don't like Control.
I didn't play Control.
Control, I feel like, was the most overhyped game ever of all time. For me personally, it's the most overhyped game of all time. People were praising this game so much. They were screaming its name from the mountain. They were saying it was so good. And then it was discounted by a whopping 60% on the PlayStation Store one day. And how could I not purchase this game that has been critically acclaimed, that is off 60%? That is a really big discount. So I was like, all right, I'll buy it. It was like $20, like 20, 24, something like that. I bought it, played it, sucked. For me, it's like a Infamous light. Like it's Infamous if you take away everything that's fun about it. Basically, the reason I compared to Infamous is because you're a character who has powers. You could shoot energy from your hands, and you could kind of float like you can in Infamous. But the enemies suck. A big part of a good action game is enemy variety. There is none. In this game, there's no enemy variety whatsoever. You fight like the same 3 enemies, and that's it. 2, the skill tree sucks. So bad. It's one of the worst skill trees I've ever seen in my life. It's very linear, and each upgrade seems inconsequential. Like, they don't seem like they matter. That's all I'm going to say about Control. I don't like Control. We're going to go to 2020. This was a fantastic year for games. This year, I feel like rivals.
You completely skipped Jedi Fallen Order. I know we're doing Star Wars games next session, but like, if you're going to talk about 2019 games,
I don't think we need to talk about it. We could talk about it next episode. Next episode, we're going to talk about it like for a long time. So like, you have things to do today, and
it's one of the best 2019. Okay, all right.
Bro, we're literally gonna have an episode. Nearly.
I know. I'm just saying it's one of the best 2019 games. Like, regardless if we're gonna talk about it next week, you have to at least mention it, man. And it's just like,
okay,
it's a great game, wonderful game.
I'm not gonna even trash on that game because I actually really like that game. Granted,
yeah, it's amazing.
I'm definitely gonna point out all of the bad things about it, but when we talk about it next week, but I still think it's
even far between.
Not really, but
we'll debate about that next week then, or not next week, okay. 2 weeks from now.
But there's a lot of bad stuff about it.
Again, we'll debate about it 2 weeks from now.
But 2020, controversial, but Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and Final Fantasy VII Remake. I still haven't beat Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's an RPG. That's all I have to say about it. I mean, I'm going to talk more about it in terms of why I haven't beaten it. It's an RPG is the reason why. I've talked about it before. I'm not the biggest fan of RPGs. And this is the closest to being a hack and slash of an RPG that I've played, but it's still, there's something about RPGs that just drain every bit of energy I have out of me. And after like 30 minutes, I feel like I want to die. So I have to cut off the PlayStation and go to sleep. Like legit. I feel like every time I play Final Fantasy, by the time I'm finished, my eyes are ready to close.
I love RPGs personally. Those are my favorite types of games. But I understand where you're coming from.
And it's weird because it's not, like I'm making it sound like I hate the game and I don't. I like the game, but I don't know why it is that RPGs take so much energy away from me. I don't know why. But I feel like this is another case of a remake done right. And I think you talk about not liking turn-based combat. I think that it's outdated and it needs to change. And I think
I don't hate turn-based combat. It's just hard for a game to actually grip me with turn-based combat. Like it takes a lot out of me personally.
I think that what Resident Evil 7 Remake does with turn-based combat is the natural evolution of what turn-based combat should become, which is, we've talked about it before, let me talk about it again. It's a mix of hack and slash with turn-based in the sense that you can slice things up, but you're not going to win. You're not going to kill an enemy just by doing that, especially bosses. And what you do is, there's a system called ATP, I believe, and you press R1, and everything slows down, like really slow. And you have options, much like a turn-based game. You choose an attack, you perform the attack. and use a bar of ATP. To recharge that ATP bar, you either have to sit there and wait, get hit, which brings it up a bit, or attack, which brings it up even more. And in that sense, it retains a bit of turn-based combat while iterating on it and adding a bit of hack and slash, what makes it infinitely more fun, in my opinion. I don't think the old style of turn-based needs to disappear completely, because I know there are people who like it. Just because I just dislike it, I don't think it needs to disappear. I just think that.
Right. Thank you for being one of those people that's not like, oh, I hate it, this needs to go forever. Like,
No, I'm not.
People like stuff.
I don't think because I hate it needs to go away forever. I just think that there needs to be the biggest part for me about video games when people is options. Options. Every game just needs a ton of options, so that not every game, because I think that some games don't necessarily need it, but just the option to play a Persona game with Resident Evil. Why am I saying Resident Evil? Final Fantasy VII Remake combat would be perfect. I think I've talked enough about The Last of Us Part 2, but just to talk on it a little bit more. For me personally, when it comes to the story, I feel like in a lot of ways, because a lot of people hate it, that means that it's done its job. Because, like you said, you're not that big into it, so you don't mind being spoiled by it. Plus, you said you already watched a bunch of videos, but I'm gonna spoil the story. I feel like a lot of people, their expectations, I don't think they were too high. I think that they were just weird. And I think everybody expected Joel to die, just not the way he died. But also, I think that people put him up on too high of a pedestal. They made him seem like he was Jesus. And every part of the first game let you know that he was not a good person. He killed a lot of people. He even said that he was a hunter, which were like people who went and killed people and robbed them and things like that. He said that he did things like that before. And actually, in this world, when you do something like that, somebody's going to want revenge. Even today, if somebody did something like that and got away with it, someone would want revenge.
Right.
And the idea of a character coming and seeking revenge on Joel and then him dying that way, and in a way that isn't, people wanted him to die like Logan. Logan. They wanted him to die like Wolverine. They wanted him to die protecting his daughter. No. I didn't expect him to die that way, because it makes sense that he died a brutal death, because he died the way he lived, brutally. Just like Wolverine died the way he did. He was a hero. He died the hero. Joel wasn't a hero, so he didn't need to die like a hero. And I think beyond that, what is even more controversial is that you play as the person that killed him later on. But what they wanted you to do, obviously, was to find some semblance of respect for her, and for you to realize why she did what she did, and for you to sympathy. That's the word I was looking for. For you to find sympathy with that character, which I personally did. By the end of the game, I liked her more than Ellie, honestly. Not that I dislike Ellie at all. It's just that I found her her story more compelling than I found Ellie's. Because Ellie was just after revenge, and she was just angry the entire time. And but you picked up with I'm not blanking on Abby. You were picking up with Abby after she already had her revenge. So all her anger is already gone. She's no longer angry and wanting to murder everybody like Ellie was. So for me, it was easier for me to sympathize with her once she was calm and able to really explain why she did what she did.
To my knowledge, it's not how he died, more as less the context that he died that people are mad about. Again, I don't like Last of Us. I couldn't care either way. But, like, people are like, the way that he put himself in that situation doesn't feel in character. Again, I couldn't care either way. I don't like The Last of Us. It doesn't matter to me, but, yeah.
Also, even taking that into account, which I think is ridiculous, people, for some reason, think that it's impossible for a person to change. In the course of It's been 5 years. He was living in peace for 5 years, like absolute and total peace. With occasionally he went out and killed zombies. That's about it. Otherwise, he lived in peace for 5 years. He was a bit more relaxed, and this wasn't the first time he met new people who came to their town to live there. He's been through stuff like that before, so he isn't as immediately distrustful of everybody like he was in the first game, because he experienced what it's like to live a life similar to the way his life was before everybody got infected, because he, was alive before everything went to hell. So that aside, even then, even if he still was cautious and all that, I don't think he had no other choice. It was fight a horde of hundreds of zombies or go in this house with these people that could fight them off. So he was between a rock and a hard place. He didn't have a choice. Either way, he was going to get caught up. Also, he didn't tell them his name. I think people were ignoring that. He didn't tell them his name. His brother, Tommy, who isn't nearly as hardened as Joel is, he told them that his name was Joel. Earlier on, he told Abby, he said, "This is my brother, Joel. I'm Tommy." Joel did not give his name away. The only reason he told them his name was because they already knew his name. So him saying that, "Oh no, my name's not Joel, my name is John," would have just made him look suspicious. So everybody's arguments for that whole part is ridiculous.
Again, I don't have an opinion one way or another. I don't like The Last of Us.
Yeah. But Ghost of Tsushima is the last game before we get on to the end, which is basically going to be our top 5 games of the generation, and then we'll probably end it there. Ghost of Tsushima, fun game. I feel like it has a lot of potential. It's still a really good game. Like, I loved it. It looks gorgeous. The combat's fantastic. I can't wait. I'm really it's like Spider-Man. I'm immediately ready for a sequel because I have a feeling they're going to want to continue the series. I think their next game might be an Infamous game, which I want a new Infamous game. But if it's another Ghost of Tsushima, I wouldn't do that. Because the way they ended it very open-ended to where the story could continue. I feel like the best way for it to continue is for him to go to the mainland. Because right now they're on the island. So next day he needs to go to the mainland of Japan. And I think what they would do is, technically his title would still be the Ghost of Tsushima because that's where he started. But I'm thinking if they would call it the Ghost of something else rather than the Ghost of Tsushima like they did Horizon. Like, Horizon is the name of the franchise. Zero Dawn was like a subtitle. And the next one is called Forbidden West. I wonder if they'll do something like that, or they'll just go Ghost of Tsushima 2 or Ghost of Tsushima subtitle. I'm
pretty sure it's just going to be Ghost of Tsushima subtitle.
Yeah, it might. Like Ghost of Tsushima Journey to the Mainland or something like that. I don't know. I'm interested to see where that story will go. I think I got my fun out of the game so far. I think I'll still continue to play the new game, my New Game Plus playthrough every now and again. But I think I squeezed out as much as I can from the story. I think I need to give it a break for a while and then come back to it later and re-experience the thrill I had the first time I played the game. You have anything else? Because undoubtedly there was a game I missed in 2020. Obviously, we're not going to talk about any games that are about to come out. We're only going to talk about the games that have already come out.
Games that have come out this year that I enjoy. Star Wars Squadrons. I love Star Wars Squadrons. It's a really small game. It's the closest thing to an old game from 2005 to 2010-ish era before people started adding DLCs to everything. And the game has a small little DLC with cosmetic updates and a few patches and stuff like that, but still it's one of the closest things to old games, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it though, as far as games that I played. Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing did come out this year. Somebody said that Animal Crossing might go down as one of the most important games in video game history, and I disagreed with them initially and then immediately changed my opinion because I was like, no, he's right. Because When it brung video games into the crosshairs of thousands of people who don't play video games. And it made them realize that video games are a great way to relax. And like that they're really good, they're fantastic source of entertainment for a lot of people who wouldn't normally play a video game. And I think the Nintendo console is the perfect place for people, honestly, who don't play video games that often because they're not jumping into something super hyper violent. Like, even though Doom is on the Switch, they're not jumping straight into something like Doom or like The Last of Us Part 2, which is dark and depressing. They're getting into something fun and relaxing that they can play. And they can sit down and it's still...
Even Doom is like purposefully campy.
Yeah, even Doom is purposely campy.
Oh, what were you saying?
No, that was just about it. But yeah, we're going to end this off with our top 5 games of the generation. So I'll let you start because I've been talking a lot.
Okay.
Actually,
this is going to be a hard list for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have yours even prepared? Because I have mine prepared.
I don't have mine prepared. I have 2 games on the list and 1 game possibly on the list, depending on what else I put on there. So go ahead. And also, my list, I can already tell, is going to be very different from yours. So go ahead.
Yeah. Mine is from number 1 to number 5, God of War, Spider-Man, Uncharted 4, Last of Us Part 2, and Red Dead Redemption 2. The reason I picked The Last of Us Part 2 instead of the first one is because I think that the combat is so much better than the first one that it doesn't compare. And also, I just feel like the first one is too close to the last generation that I didn't want to put it in my top 5 of this generation. It would probably be number 2 after Uncharted 2 of the last generation.
Okay.
Not of my games of all time, but if I had to make a list for the PS3 generation, it would probably be just below Uncharted 2 for me. But yeah, that's my top 5. Ghost of Tsushima will probably be right behind The Last of Us as number 7, because The Last of Us would be the first Last of Us would be number 6.
Okay. Let me think. I think I have my top 5. It's already very different from yours. But I also have a bunch of reasons like.
But these are big that I played. Otherwise, Breath of the Wild would probably be number 2 on my list. But I haven't played it personally. Otherwise,
yeah, no, I haven't played Switch games, so
otherwise it would be really high on my list. Also, I'm just realizing we skipped Smash Bros. Ultimate.
We did.
Smash Brothers game. I don't own a Switch, but I played it because I have friends who own Switches. So.
Same. I've played so much Ultimate. It's not even funny.
My main is Shulk. Shulk's fantastic. Never played one of his games, and it's a turn-based game, so I'm never going to play it. But Shulk is fun to play as. It's just the idea of every single character ever from that franchise being in that game makes me want, even though it's a super big undertaking, I want a Mortal Kombat game like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I want Mortal Kombat Ultimate. I want a Street Fighter Ultimate. I want a Tekken Ultimate. I want every fighting game to make an ultimate version of their game where every character that has ever been in their game is in the new game. That's I know that's super tough to do and a lot of hard work, but I want what I want and I need it. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Ultimate. It's the perfect fighting game for parties and like group hangouts, because that's what I treat all fighting games as. Fighting games for me are group activities. I like to have a group of friends in person, not online, sitting together, taking turns, fighting each other, doing little mini tournaments. Like back at BDS, we used to have a video game club. We used to play Smash Bros, Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, the only fighting game I played like seriously, like not competitively, but like without friends, like I would go home and play it and like go online and like purposely like trash as many people as possible was Injustice 2. I got way too hooked into that game. Okay, my top 5 though. And I don't have a specific order for these top 5 games to be in. Jedi Fallen Order, Spider-Man, Battlefront 2. I already know you're probably rolling your eyes. It's secret right now. Ghost of Tsushima, and then there was one more, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, where did it go? What was it? It was one more. I had one more.
Can you repeat it again? I missed the first two.
Jedi Fallen Order, Spider-Man PS4, Battlefront 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and there was one more. I don't remember what it is. Dishonored 2. That's what it is.
I guessed it right. I knew it.
Yeah.
I was like,
So that's my top 5.
this light on my face. I think I'm gonna use this for the yeah, I'm gonna use that for the thing. The
Okay.
But yeah, we'll end it there. There was one more thing, but we've gone on pretty long. You have things to do, and it's almost 4 o'clock. So, you know, this was episode, I don't know what number of the Mustard Cast.
5.
No, I'm not gonna say that. But yeah,
Okay.
you can follow us on Instagram, _mustard_cast, and on Twitter @the Mustard Cast. Uppercase T, uppercase M, uppercase C. The cast is separate from mustard. And I'll put it on screen, much like I'll put Amir's name in his hand, because I know how to do that.
Thank you.
And I'm getting good at editing. Slowly but surely, I'm getting good at it. You can follow me personally at Dijon_mustard_432 on Instagram, Dijon_432 on Twitter, and if you just type in Deshaun Fortune, DESHAUN Fortune, anywhere, you'll probably find one of my hundreds of accounts. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post.
You're supposed to do that at the beginning.
PS5 has come out today because I'm posting this on Thursday. So PS5 is out, and I'm probably currently I'm either playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, or I'm in a group call about the Unreal Engine. Both are dope things that I'm going to be doing. So
Okay. I'm going to be playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, so